Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Hope you're doing well. Yes, I have a little baby here laying on top of me. I don't blame her. It's been a rough night. I really goofed last night, and I mean really goofed, big time. Everything was going well, and then I went downstairs to take my nighttime insulin, basically my long acting. I was a little bit high, but not too bad, I figured I would, but it was kind of at that point where I knew that when I took my long lasting, I start driving things down, but I would wind up with a pretty bad low overnight. So I thought I would eat a couple cookies, to help compensate, drive it up a little bit, and I'd probably wake up this morning, beautiful sugar, and so forth. Well, I went downstairs and I pulled out the bottle of insulin, drew it back, took my shot. I put the cap back on the syringe, and that's when I noticed something odd, not right about the box. That's when I noticed I grabbed the wrong bottle of insulin. Yep, I grabbed my short-acting and just shot myself up with 23 units of short-acting insulin. I'm like, oh, fuck. That's not good. So I'm like, I have to compensate for this in a big ass hurry, because I knew I was going to be dropping like a rock. So, but at the same time, I also still needed to take my long-lasting Delantis. Excuse me. So I was going to need to compensate for that as well. So I'm like, all right, let's just go ahead and get this over with. Came back upstairs, grabbed another syringe and alcohol swab. Took my Lantus, and sure enough, it wasn't long, and I'm in a downward spiral. When that happens, it's kind of a strange feeling. It's a chemical feeling. Okay, you could feel that it's something that's being brought on chemically. Okay, it's the only way I could think to describe that. I remember doing that or having that the very first time having that feeling was when I first was diagnosed a diabetic in the hospital. I was in ICU, and not really knowing what was going on, not really remembering any of the training I received from my mom or anything. I just wasn't, thinking clearly or anything. Because not only was I dealing with the diabetes, but I was also dealing with the chest issues, That's what I went there for, and I got thrown for a loop that, ooh, guess what? You're diabetic. Oh, okay. So anyway, I remember I was in the ICU. And they gave me my insulin. Without even thinking, I should have told them to wait until I got my food. I thought that the food was on its way or whatever, not realizing it takes them forever to get food to you. You're on a different, basically you're on the last, since how you're at the bottom floor, they start with the top floor and then they move down as far as the food deliveries were concerned. And so with being on the bottom floor, I was one of the last ones to get food. Well, and I didn't realize that they basically, it's the corporation dictating when medications are doled out, and they include insulins to fall into that category. So you could get your medication, and then several hours later, you're finally getting your food. Well, guess what? I had a low sugar. And I didn't have much of anything to compensate for it. I'm like, you fucking idiots. Oh, and fortunately, they happened to have a leftover Ensure from somebody else's tray from before. They confiscated it and threw it in there. It wasn't open. Don't worry. It wasn't open or anything. It's just she I remember the nurse, she was just like, how about an Ensure? And I'm like, give it here. And then I'm chugging that, and then finally the food arrives. I'm like, she's just like, well, nonchalant, where do you want this? I'm like, I don't care, just put it on my lap. I don't care, I need it now. She was just like, oh, yeah. I have no idea how low I got. But I felt so helpless because, I was born hypoglycemic. I knew what was going on, but it was a different feeling. It felt like it was a chemical feeling instead of the natural feeling with what I was used to with being a hypoglycemic, and also used to being able to just take care of it now, So, yeah, it's basically that same feeling. And I felt it again last night with that downward spiral. And it's like I said, it's like a chemical type feeling instead of something that's natural. And anyway, I also, at the same time, when you're on that downward spiral, have you ever had those dreams where you're falling and you have nothing to grab hold of, and you're just in a free fall, and like I said, you have nothing to grab hold of, and you're just falling, and that feeling that you get where you're in that downward fall, that's what it feels like. But it feels like it's chemically induced, and with your sugar dropping and your meow and so forth. Oh, excuse me. But anyway, sorry. So, yeah, that's where I was at. This was at shortly after 10 o'clock. So, I'm like, okay, I got 23 units that I got to counteract right now. I got to stay ahead of it as much as I possibly can. And just, of course, started reacting. Okay, it's like, oh shoot, I can't think of what his name was. When Apollo 13 had their incident, and they asked, what was his name? Basically the flight commander. I don't remember his name. Damn it! They asked him, what, what'd you do? Did you panic or just? And it's like, well, what's the point? You could spend 10 minutes bouncing off the walls, but then you're gonna be right back where you started. It's the same thing, And I've always been somebody who's been more reactionary, or somebody who takes action whenever there's like an emergency situation or what have you. And that's, somebody who bounces off the walls. Oh my God. No, just do, So, but yeah, and I don't know, maybe it's training with, my mom being a diabetic, or maybe it's just my natural instinct. I don't know. And of course, myself with being born a hypoglycemic. So I don't know, it may be a combination of things. But anyway, instead of bouncing off the walls, and being like, oh, yeah, don't get me wrong, I would beat myself up a little bit because my mind was on some other things. And now I've just shot myself up with 23 units of short-acting insulin. I'm like, oh, fuck. I did say, this is what I get for not having my mind on what it is that I'm doing or should be doing, and it's just out of instinct, I just grab the bottle that I use the most throughout the day, and I catch myself, and I did do it once before last fall, and I just did the same thing, start, staying ahead of it. And so I basically grabbed, I cut myself a big slice of bread, ate that, had 3 peanut butter cookies, had a tall glass of sweetened lemonade, bottle of Ensure, and then I'm like, okay, let's see how this reacts. Well, low to the point. Well, my sensor wouldn't kick in because I was in such a free fall. The sensor couldn't keep up. So I wound up having to do finger prick. And I was showing that I was okay, but then right afterwards, the sensor finally kicked in, and it was showing I was 57. And so I grabbed another bottle of Ensure, and then I was just like, okay, let's see. And that's when I started going up. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm coming out of this. Came upstairs, and I dropped again. So I was grabbing my bottle of glucose tabs here that I just bought the other day. I figured I keep those next to me, and that's when I found a package of fruit snacks I had gotten out of the vending machine at work, and I completely forgot about them. I went ahead and downed those, and also sat here, and I'm still dropping, so I sat here and started eating some potato chips I have right here next to the bed, and started going up. So I was like, okay. So I went ahead and shut the lights off. She has these Christmas lights in here that I like to keep on. At least help see, especially overnight like this, when I had these issues. And I was just laying here and thinking I would be okay or what have you. Next thing I know it, dropping again. It's like, okay, so I got up. I'm like, I went downstairs, drank another bottle of Ensure. By this point, it's 3 bottles of Ensure. Grabbed 3 more peanut butter cookies, ate those. Still low. And I'm like, okay, I need to counteract this. What can I do? The rebound is going to be awful. I already know that. But I'm like, I gotta do something. So I was looking in the fridge, and I didn't want more lemonade. I'm like, okay, this is not helping. And I seen that there was some other juice that was in there. It's a combination. I think it's strawberry, apple, and banana. And I was like, okay, let's drink half a glass of this. And I talk about a tall glass, half of that. So I down that. Whoosh! Yeah. Definitely rebounded. So when I went to sleep, I was about 1:30. It was probably about that time too. No, it was actually 12:30. But my sugar was 130. So, and arrow pointing straight up. Mom was just like, okay, that's good. Woke up a couple hours later and took my sugar, and the sensor wasn't, I couldn't do a reading, so I did a finger prick. I was a little bit high, which is an understatement. Oh boy. And I didn't think that even with a finger prick that the glucometer could even go that high. I've been higher, don't get me wrong, when I went to the hospital initially. and they ran the blood work, I was 600. But with this, I was I think it was 429, something like that. So yeah, pretty high. And I'm like, okay, let's go downstairs, take some insulin. We got to counteract this because we don't want it going any higher either. So I figure I would start slow just to be on the safe side. And I took 3 units. And I will admit, I was having a pretty weird dream too. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, really weird. And that was definitely high sugar induced, I know that. And now I've just woken up, it was about 30 minutes ago, something like that. And took my sugar, and it was just showing high, so I had to do a finger prick. And it was 3 something still, in high 300s. So, like, okay, so I just took, and what was bad too was the one that I did at 2:30. What really woke me up is I needed to go to the bathroom, and it was like, so here I am, I'm trying to do a finger prick, and then I figure, well, I'll just go ahead and take my insulin first, but I'm done. I mean, oh shoot, I can't roll up my sleeve all the way with my pajamas, so I have to do it in my stomach, and then I, did the pinch, trying to grab the pinch of fat on my stomach so I could inject, and then I could find a good spot with the syringe, and here I am. I'm about ready to piss my pants. And then I'm trying to poke myself, trying to find a good spot to poke myself, but unfortunately each of the spots that I'm doing, I keep hitting either a nerve or a blood vessel, which was like, ow. I realize it's not real pain, but at the same point it was enough to make me flinch, to make me almost lose my bladder in the process. I'm just like, oh gosh. But I figure it'd be best to do that first, then go to the bathroom so I could wash my hands afterwards. It's the alcohol. I can't stand leaving that alcohol on my skin. Anything you touch, like food afterwards or whatever, you get that residue left on your hands, and then your food tastes like rubbing alcohol. Ugh, yeah, nasty. So, but anyway, the 3 units barely put a dent in anything, obviously. And I went downstairs just before I started doing this and so forth. And, took another 5 units. So, and the previous 3 units were pretty much gone. Ate up all of the was basically eaten up by the sugar. So, here I am. And I took about 5 units. It was about, 30 minutes ago, something like that. I know I'm a little congested this morning with having the windows open all night. And we have some clouds that moved in. It's kind of windy out there, too. That's okay. I can handle that. This I can't. But that was another problem, too, is after a while, because I had this basically tug of war going on inside my body where the insulin is wanting to drop, or I should say both insulins are wanting to drop, but at the same time, I'm trying to counteract with all the carbs, the sugars, and so forth, carbs, sugar, protein. So I had that major tug of war going on inside, and of course my heart is pounding, starting to pound. And, of course, the chest muscles in here, of course, those are still not completely healed. That, of course, was all kicking in also. And labor breathing, and I would just get, basically laying here telling myself, okay, relax, calm down. You got to get your heart calmed down. get yourself grounded, this and that and everything. And I was eating my potato chips at the same time. I'm like, just keep eating. Stay grounded, calm, relax, just keep eating. That's all I just kept doing. Because it was like my heart was just starting to pound, and it was funny too. I thought about, I kept thinking, please don't have a heart attack in the process. That's all you need on top of everything. And I was just also thinking about what have I been talking about the last couple of days with the NDE, and of course the fact that it happened during the stress test. Funny. Funny. So, interesting how some things go through your head during times of emergency. So, but yeah, lots of fun last night. Of course, this one here, every time I was coming back into the room, she was just like, Mommy, you okay? I'm like, it's okay. I'm taking care of it. It's all right. She's like, okay, Mommy. So, but yeah, she's my little lifesaver. And when I would stay in the room, she was like, chum, right on me, like this morning. So, yeah, like I said, fun night last night. Not much sleep. So, oh man, I'm seriously considering taking the day off because of it. Because what happened. Monitor myself, give myself an opportunity to. I'm just concerned with having a rebound or something at work, and I'm not going to be able to take care of it. That's what I'm worried about. So, yeah, it's my fault. But I'm at a point, as far as all that is concerned, where, well, and I'll admit that's what was on my brain last night. I finally got my pay slip to know how much I'm going to get paid this pay period. It's a full paycheck. It's my very first full paycheck. So I really wanted to sit down and think about it. Think about that decision that I'm making and make sure, that I'm making a right decision. And I'm, thinking about it logically, allowing my brain to have its time. But ultimately, the heart is winning out. And I'm making the right decision. I'm not a 401k sort of person. I know, my nose is funky. I'm really not a 401k person. I've always been somebody to take risk, going down unsecured paths and so forth. I realize it doesn't make sense to people, but it doesn't have to make sense. All that matters is that it makes sense to me. I realize there was things that I went through, and yeah, it can happen again. It probably will happen again. I just need to make sure that I'm compensating for that. But I'm not happy where I'm at. I dread going in. I really do. I feel like I'm not moving in a positive direction in my life being there. I really don't. I realize that in many ways it is, but I will never, as long as I'm there, I know as long as I'm there, I'm never going to be moving in a direction that I want to be moving in. And in my heart is telling me different. My intuition is telling me different. So, yeah. Yeah, it's a little scary, because I don't know the area or anything. I don't know what to expect. Oh well, it's part of life anyway. There's nothing guaranteed in life. That location, the corporation might still go on in other places. They could close that location. It's not a very well earning store. And that's been admitted to me several times. So, at any moment, they could close that store. Then what? All right. So, but no, like I said, I'll admit, that's what I was thinking about predominantly when everything happened. So, yeah, at least going down this road, I'll be more in control. And that was another thing too that started going through my head too when everything happened. Well, yesterday I called Walgreens to find out, okay, what happened with the insurance with trying to get the sensors, and I found out basically, long story short, I found out that no pharmacy can run it. Even if they sell medical supplies, they can't run anything sort of medical supplies because there's certain information that's needed in order, basically group number, bin number is needed to be able to run anything pharmacy. And I'm like, why the fuck can't, it be ran through the pharmacy insurance? Well, they can't run it because the company itself, I'm talking about the company I'm working for, is the one who is deeming it as a medical supply. Yeah, they'll cover it, but it's deemed as a medical supply. And I'm making it difficult for you to be able to get it. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's bad enough that the company, you know what, I'm going to use some choice words here from one of my favorite actresses, Miss Sigourney Weaver. Fucking company. You know which movies those are from. It's bad enough that the fucking company is basically controlling my life, the whole schedule of my life, basically. And now they're controlling my diabetes. That ain't happening. No. That is not happening. So, yeah. It's time for me to... And then with the strikes that they've already had and so forth, no. No. I mean, it's one thing to... If it's a situation that you care about, it's one thing. But I don't give a fuck about this situation. And I realized you could look at it as finding excuses to leave. But I also have been in the situations where I was, in a work environment or what have you, where I kept hanging on and hanging on and hanging on, and it wound up being detrimental in the end. And I've been there time and time again, and then next thing I know it, bam, shit hits the fan, and I wind up getting frustrated and walking anyway. So why put myself through that? And I am here in this place to heal. Not just heal myself physically, but also, mentally, psychologically, emotionally. And I have been saying right from the start, I'm done with the chaos. I'm done with all of that bullshit. So then why in the world would I allow myself to stay in that situation? It's one thing if it's something that you care about. Like for instance, a love relationship, a friendship, or what have you. You talk to each other, you work things out or whatever. But in a situation like this, I don't give a fuck. So why in the world would I want to stay? So, it's like, and the only reason why I am staying right now, is because I know I've got these doctor's appointments coming up. I need to be staying right now. It's either that or I go back to driving like right now. I would have the money to be able to do that. Just I would have to be able to take some of that money also real fast and get on medical insurance in a big fucking hurry. So, and I need that doctor's appointment right now. That one doctor's appointment. Other things, they can wait. Even with her, with the vet, it can wait as far as I'm concerned. But that endocrinology appointment, I need that appointment right now. Even if I have to wind up paying for that out of pocket. So, yeah. I would have an base, if it's the same price as far as out of pocket for the specialist visit is what it was out there, which is usually somewhere around like $300 or something. If I wind up having to pay that out of pocket, I would have just enough between the two things to get me rolling out there on the road. And yeah, it would be tight. It would be a little bit tight, but I'd have just enough. I wouldn't be able to buy food, but I have a little bit left, so I can. Hell, I made it work before. I'd work it again. That's the way I look at it. Even if I lost my job today, so I would do it. But yeah, right now that's what is most important, because I've got to get that bottle of Lantus refilled. I'm fine as far as Admelog is concerned. Syringes, I think I'm fine too. But it's that bottle of Lantus I've got to get refilled. I got to get that prescription refilled, and then I can walk. So, but anyway, that's where I'm at right now. That's all I care about. And then of course I've got to get things squared away as far as the sensors are concerned. I have enough refills on that for a while, but for a little while. But of course, those are going to be expiring end of September, so I got to get on the new system. And it would be nice to get the insurance to cover some of the costs with the new reader and so forth too. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I got to do things to protect my life. I realize it sounds very selfish, putting her off or what have you, but I can't take care of her if I'm basically dying. So I have to take care of myself first. And believe me, dying that sort of a death, it's very slow, and I'm not going to say painful. It's not painful. It's just, it's terrible. It's a very slow and terrible death. And I now thanks. But if I'm lucky, I might make it a couple months. Basically is what it boils down to if I don't get these supplies. And then what? Right? She's on her own. I know she's in a good spot. But with weighing everything, I'm like, no. I realize the monetary thing is one thing. I realize the benefits are one thing. But I'm thinking more of the psychological with everything. So, yeah, this is where I'm at right now. When I'll make that jump, I'm not entirely too sure. But we'll see what happens. And I know I'll have the cost of the car rental every week, and I'm going to have to build in as well. But from the way it sounded, I got the tax credits for to get the discounted health insurance that I'd be paying for on my own. So as long as I built that in every month, along with my supplies, yeah, it's a rough journey, but it's better than dealing with that bullshit. I realize there's bullshit that I have to deal with over there as well, but it's interesting. And I kept saying, with things that were happening, I'm like, damn, if I didn't know any better, I'd swear we were in a Mercury retrograde. I even said it at one point. Well, then I wake up this morning, I go on my Facebook, and sitting right there, top, I really haven't been paying much attention to a lot of like spiritual stuff or anything. I haven't been watching any NJ's videos. And Deborah, she doesn't, I've been watching her videos because they're short, but I haven't, she doesn't really go into any of the astrology. And I haven't been paying much attention to the astrology with what's going on. I know that we're not in a Mercury retrograde because we just had one. So I'm like, there's no way that we're, unless this is a very long post shadow, I'm like, there's no way that we're in some sort of a retrograde with Mercury. Well, sitting right there on top of my Facebook page, sure enough, we just went into a retrograde on the 4th. Pluto. Okay, makes sense. That's my ruling planet with my sun sign, Scorpio. And sitting right there in their descriptor, it was the moon magic. Basically, you can go check it out if you're interested. Where they're talking about the effects with the Pluto retrograde. Sitting right there is taking risk and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, boy, is this resonating with everything that has been happening. You know, with feeling like I just felt it. You know, I'm like, we have got to be in a retrograde. I haven't been thinking about, anything with astrology. Just leading up to it, even. I'm like, we're we're either in a really long post shadow or in a pre shadow of something. But then again, I know we also had the one for Venus, and I know Venus just went into Aries, and same time we have Mars and Leo, and and I'm thinking all this, but never once thought to look to see, and I have it all in my calendar that I put in at the start of the year. Duh. But the other day too, like yesterday, was a 5-day for me with my numerology calendar. So I'm thinking quite possibly that, and I'm just feeling a lot of angst, and I'm like, restlessness and so forth. And I'm just like, what the hell? And it's like, oh, I seen that this morning. I'm like, oh, okay. Basically what they're talking about is facing your fears. Not so much risk, but the facing of the fears. And that's what I've been doing a lot without even knowing that that's what I was really, the reason why I was doing. I'm like, okay, that's why. I mean, it hit me like a ton of bricks when I saw that post. I'm like, okay, this is all making sense now. And I think it's supposed to last until October. Those outer planet retrogrades last a while, so it's like, okay, this is all making a lot of sense. It's funny because I had gone outside at one point and I'd seen this one star. I don't know who it is. It's either Venus or Mars, and I've been meaning to look it up, and I kept forgetting. And it was like I was really drawn to that, and I'm like, I should be looking. Seeing the signs there. You need to be looking at this stuff, and hello, not thinking, but oh well, it is what it is. So, but anyway. Oh, that's right. One thing I forgot to mention yesterday, off topic. Saw a YouTube video that came across my stream. Well, I was trying to find one. It was a Lou Diamond Phillips, excuse me. And it had the title about Young Guns 3, saying that he was hinting about it at a con that he was at. And I'm like, Young Guns 3. I know that there has been talk. I heard it once before, and I'm like, how in the world can that happen? So I was just like, okay, this is sounding a little bit more serious. So I was trying to find. That wasn't on my YouTube. That was on something. Oh, that's right. That was on an Instagram account that I follow, and I was trying to find it on YouTube. Well, instead of finding that video, I found a video with Emilio doing an interview about talks about Young Guns 3. So it is definitive. They are in talks to do Young Guns 3. Yeah. He huge fan of those movies back in the day. But what he's saying is that they are scouting locations in New Mexico this time instead of Arizona. So they're scouting locations, and he did reveal who would be in the movie, and basically, and what the premise would be. They're basically sticking with the Brushy Bill Roberts scenario, but bringing the characters that they would be bringing back would be Arkansas Dave, Chavez, and Billy. Only they would be hooking up with Pancho Villa. Okay, right there just before World War One, which makes sense. In many ways, it does make sense. Well, it's like he said, with the last movie, we actually did not see those three characters die, which makes sense, especially if you're going to be sticking with the Brushy Bill Roberts scenario. But with the historical record, the other two characters, Dave and Chavez, they did not die when the movie said that they died. So it would make sense, to be able to somehow bring them back. So it's going to be interesting. That'll be interesting. And they did ask the question if they were possibly talking to John Bon Jovi. He was trying to be cryptic or whatever, but he's like, that there's they're talking. They're talking. So we might have another John Bon Jovi soundtrack too. So that would be awesome. That's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. Oh gosh, I love it. Not just the theme song, but the whole, well, back in those days I had the cassette, so of course now I just stream it. So, but yeah, I had the CD too, and when we moved on to CDs, but anyway, yeah. So, super excited about that. We'll see what happens here in the next couple of years. So, and I found out also that they have announced, I don't remember who, the studio, but anyway, that they have announced that we're going to be getting a Practical Magic 2 coming out in September 2026, just in time for the Aries full moon at that time. So that's going to be interesting too. I love that. I love the original movie, Practical Magic. So some exciting things coming down the pike. It's like, all right, we'll see what happens. So yeah, I wanted to make sure I passed that along as well. So, but it felt good yesterday doing a lot of healing. As far as, things that I've been talking about. I had to face what happened last year, and I did do a lot of healing. So, yeah, I know I'm running on time and so forth. So, but anywho, yeah, that's, and my suit turned out really good too, by the way. Yeah, of course, as always. You could definitely tell it was different celery seed. I should have used some more of that and cut back on the pepper a little bit. But yeah, actually Rick, of course, he's the official taste tester, as he puts it. And he had a very small bowl. And he's just like, that's the best thing. Out of everything you've made, that is number one. And I'm just like, and that's not even my best batch. So he's like, well, I look forward to tasting your best batch. So, but yeah, I love soups, especially my noodle soups, either chicken or turkey. Oh, to die for. So, all right, I'm gonna be facing this challenge. I'm looking forward to it. I've always been somebody to face challenges. Yeah, over the last couple of years, I haven't been all that terribly good at it. But considering what I was going through, it's understandable. Now I'm feeling better, and it's like, all right, it's time to take life head on again, and I'm looking forward to it. So, it's like, yeah, baby. Yeah, the bitch is back. Look out, world. So, here we go. And I'm loving it. And it's with it falling just in time. It makes sense with the Pluto retrograde, with what I was reading. I'm like, yeah, it's time. Let's do this shit. Sick of this bullshit. I haven't liked that person. I haven't liked that person at all. I will admit I had even considered, the situation with Vegas and Sulfur, and I'm just like, no, Vegas will always be close to my heart. As far as I'm concerned, that's where I was born, because that's where I found myself, even though I wasn't born there physically. That's where I found myself. That's where I found my personality, and I found the person that I fell in love with, meaning me, this personality, and I love that bitch. So, and I feel like with where I'm at right now, I'm dying, and I don't like that person. I like that person, so I had to keep that person going. So, it's like, yeah, combination of that person and also person I used to be, some aspects of who I used to be when I lived in Virginia, and also my first years in Michigan. It's all coming full circle, and now it's time to push forward. It's like, yeah, she's here. So whether it means I stay here, move on to someplace else, still not too sure about that. But as far as the situation with Vegas is concerned, I feel like I've learned as much as I can from there. I've developed as much as I can there. And now our paths are diverging. I will always have a very special place in my heart for Vegas. And no matter what, even though they lost last night with game 1, round 2, my boys, my Knights, I'll always be a fan. So, and I'll always be a supporter of Vegas because of what she taught me, because of what I learned from her and who I found while there. But now it's time for me to grow in other ways. So, yeah. And because of it, what I have found here, Minnesota will always have a special place for me too, even if it's short-lived. Each place has a very special place for me. I'm basically getting back to that warrior that I was born to be. So, it's time. And learning how to balance that warrior spirit with this broken body, basically. So, and learning how they can be one with each other, work with each other. Like last night, telling my heart, slow down, telling my brain, stop, slow down, finding that balance so my heart could slow down and not have such labored breathing either. So, anyway, that's where I'm at. I know I need to get myself moving. So, but anyway, I love you guys. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace. Love you.